Here's Jerry.
What's up, everybody? It's the Free Speech Forum podcast. This is going to be a fantastic show. We're going to be talking about the good and the bad of homeowners associations.
And the ugly.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This is going to be a fantastic show. Tonight, we have Bob, Brooks, John, and obviously myself.
What's up, guys?
Hey,
How's it going? How are we doing out there, America?
I'm excited to be here.
I jabbed my eye with a stick trying to cut the bushes earlier.
Why would you do that?
It was an accident.
Have you ever heard of safety goggles?
The funny thing is my glasses were just like sitting on my head.
Ah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Or
It slid up the top of my eye, so there's like a red spot.
You got to put those pit vipers to work, man.
Oh, yeah.
Well, before we get too far into this, I want to ask everyone if you could like and subscribe to this channel. We would greatly appreciate it.
Yes, indeed.
It really helps us out with the YouTube algorithm and getting out our reach. So
Yeah, and we're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. So if you got an Alexa, Google say, hey, play the Free Speech Forum podcast, and it'll play it.
yeah, last week, if you didn't see last week, it started playing it in here. So
That's right, yeah.
That was
Works,
pretty
man.
I
hilarious.
didn't say the Alexa word this time.
Oh.
So, Jerry, what have you got in store for us this evening?
Well, today we're going to be talking about some HOA stuff, and trust me, I have...
For some of our listeners from Rio Linda, what does HOA mean?
HOA means you don't want it. Homeowners Association. So I've got a huge letter here that I'm going to be reading. Obviously, you guys can't read this, but I'll be reading that later. It's a big letter. I sent it to my HOA. We're having a little bit of a feud, so
I might have to interrupt that a few times.
You probably will.
So, Bob, I know you got an advertisement for us, so tell us about that.
Well, I'll tell you what. We have our tremendous sponsor of this week's podcast. They've hung in there with us like a piece of steel, and it's Palmetto Steel. And we're so proud to have somebody to be a partner, and they've been a true partner because they've been in here for, what now, is this the 4th month with Palmetto? And
They've been hanging in there with us.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
And I'm not going to go through the 15-bullet list of everything they do. I'm just going to say that if it has to do with steel, they'll get it done.
Bob,
and they do better than anybody.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can they make spheres out of steel?
Yes, they can. And you know what else they can do with steel, don't you, Jerry?
I don't want to know.
They can put holes in it just for you.
Okay.
Well, could they
Of
bend
any
it?
size.
Couldn't they bend it?
They can bend it too.
Oh,
and they
man.
can roll it. But most of all, they can punch holes in it.
That's
All right.
fantastic.
Yeah. Lots of things you can do with holes punched in steel.
Oh, man.
Stick a lot of things in those holes.
Yeah, so we're going to go into...
Double dipping then.
I walked in on my grandma napping in this
We got
blanket.
grandma.
What?
What kind of blanket is that?
What are you doing? It's called a penis blanket, I think.
That's actually really...
She actually.
It's so comfortable.
What are those?
She must have some big feet.
What are those balls doing there? That's called Grandma's Blanket by Ross Smith on TikTok. The Grandma Blanket video.
Do we give an award for the strangest video of the year?
That's in the
running, right?
competition.
Well, we
Yeah,
need to
that-
start that because I don't want to ever see that again as long as I live.
At the beginning of this podcast, I don't look at the funny videos this way. It's new to me, and I was not expecting that.
Yeah, so, and also we want to thank Pixel Joe Studio.
Yeah.
Pixel Joe is the one who lets us use this podcast studio. He actually stood up an arcade this week, so if you're in Huntsville and you want a game, it is the place to be.
Right.
Pixelcade, right?
The Pixelcade, yeah.
And if for those of you that don't know what pixel means, it has everything to do with the digital age. Photography, videography, podcast, everything. Joe is the man.
Fantastic.
Pixel Joe.
Yeah, that's
Thank you,
right.
Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
We appreciate it big time.
Thank you very much, Joe.
We come alive in the nighttime. It's something about how we dance in the moonlight. That look in your eyes tells me that you want me and all my loving. We come alive.
Also got that flag he can wave around right there.
Wave that flag around, Bob.
We come alive.
Well, so we are going to be talking about some homeowner association business. I think I said that wrong. So the first thing we're going to do is, for those of you that don't know what an HOA is, we're going to go ahead and play a little video for you.
This is from Professor Jerry.
Yeah, well, if I can get this right.
That's Dr. Jerry
Well,
to
a
you.
homeowners association exists within a community that is designed
So this video is going to be a little bit long.
managed by a group
Well, let's
of
talk
its
over it.
community members. These community members
Oh my gosh.
are homeowners themselves.
Oh, man.
They can range from a community group of 3 to 7 or 8.
We're all homeowners.
We need some
People
confetti to like start
join
popping
what
up
are
in the
called
background.
the board of directors.
And this actually is
Oh.
kind of boring
Anybody
me, like homeowners
who owns a
associations do.
home within a homeowners association
Okay.
has the right to become a member of the board of directors.
The
no
board
one-
is in like their board.
It is
No
the
one
board
wants
of
to be.
directors, which in turn
Oh, you'd be
is
surprised.
involved in the oversight and the overseeing of the community.
Retired people love telling other people what
Now,
to do.
giving you some history and background,
Like
this
how to
is
handle their
about
grass.
40 to 45 years old, at least on the surface.
My God, this is
But the
riveting
truth is
material.
that
I
communities
know.
So HOAs
Drama's
haven't been around that
finest.
long.
thousands of
Bum,
years.
bum, bum.
But over time, someone decided that
I didn't
we
know
could have
homeowner
a better
associations have been around for
community
45
if we
years.
had these communities
I wondered that.
specifically
All right,
designated
so he just
and
said
then managed and run
we can have
by
a better
the
community
homeowners
if
themselves.
we have the community specifically
At the
managed
beginning, this was
by
good.
the homeowners.
Does that sound like the
But
Socialist
eventually
Party that's
someone
in
got the
control of
bright
America
idea.
right now?
I
But
mean,
this could be a money-making
Just
organization.
oh, they're going to make
It's
money
now-
off of it.
he's
You know
he's
what?
alluding
Pay
to
your
what's
dues.
wrong with an HOA.
Once
Those
people get
dues
that
go
profit
into a
motive in
fund.
there, it's like,
Those
John,
funds, in
I'll bet you.
turn,
Do you
are
think he's going to
used
write something on that flip
oversee the
chart? What do you
community
think?
to
I don't
take
think
care
we'll make
of
it that far.
problems that might exist
What kind of
within
underwear do you
the
think he's
community.
wearing?
I think if he
Area,
writes something, he's going to write, "I'm a
maybe something
prick."
that needs
Yeah.
to be
Well,
cleaned up.
actually,
Why he
hold
tidies?
on. Wait.
He's on your side.
He's
He's
on
going
your side.
commando.
Things.
Just give him a second.
From there, it evolved to someone having the bright idea that maybe what we need to do is have a management company
Oh, no.
oversee
Oh,
the
no.
community.
Jerry's biggest
Very
problem.
So now the
Terrible,
homeowners
terrible. You don't want
turned
that.
to a management company and said, "Will you manage us?
I started
we're
to
not,
sense
We're
we're not
lazy.
adult enough. We're not smart enough
Yeah, the
to
sarcasm's
handle our
coming.
own community. We need someone to come in and tell us what to do."
Because we're lazy.
And the management company said, "Sure, we'll do that for you.
Give me money.
But it's going to cost you."
Oh, yeah.
And so homeowners associations got together and said, "We'll pay you, management company, if you tell us how to live our lives." And so they did.
Reasonable.
And now.
Now, with law.
So, and now we are where we are today. Most homeowner associations might have a board of directors run by the community, but a lot of them still go back to a management company which tells you what to do. They
Right.
fine you. They yell at you.
They make money off the fines.
They make money off the fines. They don't care about you.
They're ungoverned as well too.
Homeowner association started as making everyone's community better because it was something someone wanted to do.
What, do you happen to know what percentage of the people that are in the control committee actually live in the homeowner?
We're gonna get to that.
There's a lot in Huntsville.
Yeah, there's
They actually live in the community.
supposedly it should
yeah.
be.
Homeowners.
It should be, and that's how it started.
But that's
because-
what that guy was saying is the management companies too.
Well-
how common is that?
I mean, I don't know. I've only purchased one home, but mine
Most
mine is
homeowner
managed-
associations have management
Yeah,
companies,
yeah,
so
most
that
of
people don't
them-
have to deal with it.
He's
so
only
they can enforce the
purchased
rules.
I've only purchased one home. So
He's a young buck, so
listen.
Just wait till you hit number 6. That's when it really gets bad.
Yeah, I'm on 7.
So pretty much, everything that I've looked into pretty much says if you're buying a new home, you're gonna be managed by an HOA. And if you don't want an HOA, you have to go back to
Move out in the country.
Go back to your trailer down by the river eating government cheese.
I've intentionally bought homes in non-HOA subdivisions.
Oh yes.
There's people that do that for sure. Jerry, run us through some of the rules and regulations that a homeowner association can govern.
Well, pretty much anything. I'll tell you. So in mine, if I want to put a fence up, I have to put the fence up, which is the exact same fence that they want, which is the same fence all my neighbors have. And that means I can't do it myself. Even if I'm skilled enough to do it, I cannot do it myself because it's going to look different. It's going to be cheaper for me, but doesn't matter. So
I might even tell you what company can install your fence.
It's going to be the same company that is installing it. It's going to be like 1 or 2 colors that I can pick from, and it has to be 6 feet. It can't be taller. It has to be
shadow box.
It can't be shorter either.
Can't be shorter. It has to be a wooden 6-foot privacy fence. I mean, they can govern anything from saying that you can't have fake plants in your yard. What if you don't know how to take care of plants?
How do they know?
Yeah. Well, if someone
So
don't-
and also,
Men in
like,
black.
I don't know.
what color you can paint your house.
Yeah, what color you can paint your house? You can't paint your front door. So what if you want to paint your front door bright orange because that's your favorite color? I mean,
But-
what if?
Is it all right?
Evolve.
What if you covered it in tinfoil? Would that be okay?
No, that would not be okay.
That would
Probably.
be all right.
Yeah, it would probably be distracting and it would probably be unsightly. And so they would slap a $150 fine
Sure.
on you,
Yeah.
and then you'd have to go buy paint to paint it black.
They can
you-
even fine you for leaving your trash can out. Too many
Yep.
days.
Yep.
past.
Now, can you take your trash can out in your house coat, or do you have to have your suit and tie on?
Well, in my neighborhood, you'll get fined if you walk out just in normal clothing. You have to walk out in a full suit with a tie tied with a Windsor knot.
All right.
If it's not tied with a Windsor knot, you're gonna get slapped with a $50 fine.
I will pay you $100 to take your garbage out one morning, totally nude. I get to video it.
I'll throw in another
And
What
bill.
about Taco Bell? Did they get to see that? Does Taco Bell get to see
That's
that?
not the HOA hasn't covered that, but then they'd have to add it. By
Yeah.
the way, that's
Yeah.
what happens.
Well, you want to know what? They probably would do something about that. They would probably have someone on guard at my front door every day following just to make sure I don't do that. And I'll tell you, my HOA, as most do, have a fee you have to pay every single year, and I get nothing in return except letters in the mail saying my yard needs to be mowed. I have weeds that need to be trimmed, which, trust me, don't need to be trimmed. They're about 1.5 inches and they need to be trimmed,
You
when
got
I go to cut the rest of the grass.
you got a letter that said you need to take down the giant free speech forum sign. in the
Oh yeah.
backyard.
Okay, so a lot of you guys might have seen that we put up a free speech forum sign in my backyard facing Taco Bell, right? Well, one day later,
They're on it, man.
they sent me a letter in the mail that said that I must. This might be an oversight, but you must fill out such and such form, and I don't remember the name of the form, but I must fill out a form in order to put a sign in my yard. Granted, it was a big sign, but I can't even put a sign in my yard.
Sad.
Rules, man.
So
Covenants
that's-
and restrictions.
Yeah. So that's what an HOA is gonna do to
Yeah.
you.
I lived in a neighborhood that they said you cannot touch a plant in your yard without approval.
Oh wow.
Your
what
own
if you
yard.
have to? What if you have to trim it like it's a shrub?
You could not plant a new plant without their approval. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Is
Like,
it-
I
think maybe
you
it
can't
was,
even maintain your own yard.
Maybe it
Well-
was your neighborhood that said you have to have a tree in your yard, and if it I can't remember. Was that you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. if your
it's-
tree
There's so many
dies-
trees.
It's always cause and effects. At some point, some guy planted a big ass cactus in his front yard, and it didn't cut it, so they had to write in, you can't add a plant without approval. For example, ever been flying on an airplane and noticed what's on the side door for
A cactus?
Do not open this door while plane is in flight. What does that mean?
really? I didn't
Some
know.
asshole tried to open the door while the plane was in flight,
Right.
and they
Makes
had
sense.
to put a sign up.
Well, you know what?
Is this America? I mean,
like,
I thought this was America.
yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be honest though. If my neighbor wanted to plant a cactus in their yard, I would just let them do it because that's their own yard, and
Absolutely.
just let them do it. It
Yep.
might be weird, but some people are weird. I mean, I know I'm a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
I'm not.
so let's roll to media item number 2 we got here.
All right, let's see what this is. Oh, don't know if that's
Oh,
Oh my
in there.
God.
so.
That's a mess.
Green clover.
Take a look
Taco
at this.
Bell.
This is the kind of stuff that you generally won't find in an HOA. It's sort of abandoned landscaping or bricks being piled up.
Looks
or
like
sort
Bob's
of other
house.
Inconsistencies.
Hell yeah.
Like over here, we've got palm trees and
So this is the stuff you'll
drought-tolerant
see
planting.
in a
Then these people
In a
have
non-HOA
the leftovers of like
community.
a yard sale going on out there. These folks over
Free-
here sort of
free
made
chairs.
the backyard. But then also, in addition to sort of an inconsistency in fencing and landscaping, who takes care of problems in some of the
No
common
one.
areas like
No
the
one does.
tree
Look
at
that
that
has graffiti
antenna.
on it.
Yeah.
It's just some of the small things. That's not to say
Yeah.
What are they
that
writing on
I
it?
only buy
Graffiti on
property
trees.
in homeowners associations. But there are a lot of benefits that folks won't look at.
You now have tournaments.
See, here's a perfect example
Excuse me?
of what I'm talking about. This is totally by fluke chance, but I was talking about baby blue houses and baby pink houses. Check this out.
Colorful
You got a
houses.
house with pretty much original paint, that is,
Yep.
it's pretty much non-existent. And then right next door you got... Just
That is
another
weird.
example, though. I mean, car with flat tires. The car is almost part of the fencing. And this is an expensive neighborhood. I mean, these houses are all 600 grand plus.
600.
Yeah.
Must
So-
be near a city or
That was in
a city.
California. It
Oh,
looks like
okay.
it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I love to
So-
see those cars that have obviously been sitting in the front yard for 4 years. The grass has grown up all around them. They trim around it, keep it nice looking, and the car's rusting out.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, look, I mean, so there are some things that an HOA does that's good. I mean, they might like hound you to death to do things that are silly, but I mean, that truck was
That
part
does-
of the fence. I mean,
That does
truck,
hit the nail on the head on the good and the bad of HOAs.
Although I think we're at this point, there is a little bit of extremism on both sides. The HOA telling me that I need to cut my weeds that are 2 inches thick or 2 inches long, versus the neighborhoods that have trucks that have been sitting in the driveway for 2 years without being moved. I mean, we're talking about extremism here.
Yeah.
Surely there's a common
Surely.
ground.
Well,
you,
so
you would think people would be reasonable, but
Yeah.
not always.
So like in that is one example, but like in Huntsville, there's so many neighborhoods in South Huntsville that are not HOA neighborhoods, and people take care of their yards. Plenty take care
Yeah.
of them. However,
majority.
every once in a while, it's like 1 out of every 10 will get in pretty bad shape. But for the most part, you can find a neighborhood that's not HOA where people take care of their
Right,
yard.
exactly.
But you can also run into something like that too.
Do
Yeah,
we-
so
do we
that's an
know
extreme neighborhood.
What
That's-
percentage of houses in America are HOA versus not, by any chance?
We got some numbers here on HOAs. So there's a new housing report that shows 73.9 million Americans reside in communities with homeowners associations or condominium boards.
Yeah, and I'm
And
not.
So how
how
many people
many-
voted? Like there's 300 million
Yeah, I
people,
was about to say
250 million
there's
people voted.
roughly
Wow.
300 million people in America, and that's a very large percentage of
I mean, it's 10 to 20% reside in
yeah. I mean, that's
HOA
a
communities.
pretty
That's not
substantial
that's not
number.
too frightening.
It's a pretty substantial number, and
It's
I mean,
definitely a growing trend, though. Like,
It-
show me a new neighborhood that doesn't have an HOA.
yeah. Well, that's what I was saying earlier. I mean, if you want to get away from the extremism and you just don't care, there's a possibility that your neighbors might live in a dump. But if you don't want to be bugged by the HOA, the number of houses that are available for purchase that aren't governed by an HOA are slowly going down because every single new neighborhood is going to be HOA governed.
Right.
It's just so. I mean,
Well, we do have a neighborhood here in Huntsville that's on top of a mountain. I won't mention any names, but you can't touch jack shit. I mean, you cannot touch anything. Nothing.
That neighborhood's on a whole nother level, though.
that neighborhood's a very expensive neighborhood.
It's the nightmare of it. I mean,
yeah.
you cannot do anything without written approval, and they deny everything. But anyhow, moving right along.
Sounds like you have personal experience.
Well,
with this neighborhood.
my brother lives there.
Okay.
And he didn't realize what he was getting into when he bought the house.
They got a golf course there?
They do, by the way.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Then.
Yep. And he is not happy about what he can and can't do in his yard.
Yeah, so basically, I would rather not live in an HOA.
Well, let's hear some.
We got some other numbers that I was going to run through.
Go
So
ahead and do it.
California leads the nation with 49,200 associations, followed by Florida with 48,500, then Texas with 21,000, and North Carolina with 14,100, and then New York with 14,000. And as of 2020, there were 354,000 community associations in the U.S.
Hey, I see those numbers, and look up there. It
354,000.
says, and there's one in Alabama, and Jerry lives in it.
Yeah, and I'm the only one.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
those are some pretty big numbers. I mean, 354,000 communities with an HOA or governed in some way. I mean, that's a pretty substantial. I mean, if you want to just pick up and move and you don't want an HOA, you have to work at finding a non-governed.
You know, I bet you money that there's at least one and maybe more of some really cool HOAs that tell you can do any effing thing you want to your yard, and the place looks like a circus, and everybody loves it, and they're all cool. You know,
They just take $100 a month out of your account.
Bob, that's,
you know?
that's called a trailer park.
I love it.
So Bob, you said you've purchased quite a few homes. So how many of your homes have been governed by an HOA?
Actually, I have only purchased 3 homes, and the HOA regulations were almost non-existent. The only thing that you ever heard about was your grass couldn't get over 6 inches tall.
6 inches.
Yeah.
And then my
And-
HOA yells at me for grass that's literally, as tall as my fist.
But this is when when all these ranchers were built in the mid to late 50s and early 60s when the Von Braun team came in. And so finally I went looking for a place that had no HOA where I could buy a few lots, and I did. And so nobody can tell me anything to do with my property. I tell everybody to get that off or whatever.
Oh, so Brooks, tell me about some HOA fees.
Well, I wanted to hit on the mix of information out there. You know,
Okay.
I wondered if you had an HOA, does it help your home's value? So what do you guys think? I mean,
I would think it depends.
I would think
I have no idea.
I would think in an extremism situation like what we saw in that video in California, I think an HOA would benefit for a few years, and then once the neighborhood is balanced out to a not a dump, then I think an HOA isn't going to do anything because
He said it was an expensive neighborhood. House is $600,000.
Okay, where can you buy a house in California? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm pretty
yeah,
sure.
good
I'm pretty
point.
sure
A good
Kevin
house there
lives
is $1
in
million.
LA. Yeah, Kevin
Or more.
lives in LA, so I think, or close to it.
well, there's a lot of articles out there that say that it does help your home value by having an HOA, but there was also another study that I found. This was from Yale University. I think it was a Dr. Robertson, and he looked at numbers from 2017 and 2018 and homes sold, and 55% were HOA governed and 45% were not, and it was across 3 different states, and that he found in his data that the ones that were not governed by HOA covenants and restrictions on average had significantly higher rates of sell price than ones that did
I
have
can
HOA.
believe that. We're Americans,
wanna-
damn it. We want to be left alone. Don't tell me every little jot and tittle I
Yeah.
can do with my damn
So-
house. I like that.
I mean, to me, it would be nice if my neighbors brought the trash can in at a timely manner. And when I say my neighbors, I'm talking about my neighbors. Like I have some neighbors that frequently leave the trash out for the can out for 4 or 5 days after, and I don't know what they're doing with their trash, but that's a separate note.
So you're actually admitting that there are some good things to the HOA.
Yeah, but I mean, what I would like my neighbors to do things that are respectful to their neighbors. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, like when it comes to something like the yard, some people just don't have the time. I mean, right now, I'm the only one that's mowing the grass. Like no one, like if I can't mow the grass this week, then it's going to go a separate week, another week, and it's going to get extra long.
And it's been raining a lot.
Yeah, and what happens when it's May or whatever, and the grass is growing multiple inches, like 3 inches every week? Like, what do I do if I can't mow it? I'm at work.
You get the shit fund out of you, I guess, right?
Yeah, I get $100 fine. I get a letter in the mail that says you will be fined $100 if you don't mow the grass. But I'm like, I mean, seriously?
Oh, really? They'll send you a threat letter?
Yeah. Oh, I've received plenty of threat letters. Oh, and I've also sent them a threat letter.
I didn't know that they could actually threaten to give you a fine by a certain date, and it was
Oh, yeah.
legally binding.
I
Oh, yeah.
don't know.
Yes,
I've
and they can put a
received
lien on your
many of them.
property until you pay that fine.
You're
you go to
kidding
sell the
me.
home.
It's not due until you sell the house, but
Yeah.
Good Lord.
So if I've let's say I get fined 5 times for $100, when I sell my home, I owe the homeowner association $500.
And sometimes they can charge interest.
Yeah.
They have that in the contract. So
Boy, read the fine print.
Yeah, and I want to know in a neighborhood where it actually pays off, because a lot of HOAs are fairly expensive. So mine seems to be above the national average of $200 to $300.
well, some states talk about, or some places, $100 to $1,000 per month. Especially like if you're in a
that's
condo.
extreme.
If you're in a condo, then you're paying for that pool monthly and all the grounds maintenance, everything.
Amenities,
You look at a
yeah.
beach house.
What's at least nice about
or a
that
beach
is you're
condo,
getting something.
it's $700 a month.
What's nice is you're at least getting something, though. I mean, like in a neighborhood like mine, we get absolutely nothing.
So what's your fee
So
right now a year?
So my fee is $350 a year, which truthfully
Okay.
isn't that
I was about to
much.
lose my mind if you're going to say a month.
Yeah, it's truthfully not that much. And I wouldn't, if I wanted that home, that would not deter me from purchasing the home. But when I'm paying $350 a year and I'm getting absolutely nothing in return, it's like, what do you, what
They're
do you do
popping
about
you
it?
for $30 a month, and you're getting nothing
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
it.
So my neighborhood, I pay about $650 a year, but we have a community of full amenities of a neighborhood pool, neighborhood tennis courts.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Is it kept
basketball
up?
court,
They
a
keep-
workout facility. Oh, it's very nice.
Well,
So,
that's a different story then.
I mean, it's worth every bit of $650.
That's
But
cool.
I do have to deal with, them on you, and you feel like you just can't touch. You don't want to do anything to your yard except for the way you inherited it. Because if you do something out of the ordinary, you put some flag out, or your kid gets a sign for starting school this week, you're going to have a letter in the mail. Because
Wow.
in the covenant, you can't
So
do that.
real quick, John Ferguson, he's jumped in our chat. He said he's been in a place where the HOA is very nosy.
Yeah,
I
we can
imagine
relate,
that's
man.
like
Yeah.
a common.
I imagine that's very common. So what do you do? Maybe someone that has a little more experience. What do you do if you have a nosy HOA? Anyone know? What have you guys
threaten to
done?
kill
What have you done in
people?
your experience, Jerry? How do you handle?
Do you want to see how I've handled it? Because I
Yeah.
can read my letter.
So, and what happened? Like, how did this all get started with you?
Well, so this basically all got started because the HOA, 2 months in a row, they sent me a letter about my grass, which was like 2 inches, 3 inches long, which I previously had mowed multiple times in between. Okay, but so I'm gonna go ahead and read this letter for you. So. To whom this may concern, I have been issued repetitive guidance to take care of my lawn, to which I do, even barring the reminders provided by Elite Housing Management, which is the name of the management company
Elite.
in my neighborhood. Yeah,
That
Elite.
helps.
So my yard gets taken care of as per the necessary standard. I have attached some images, one from April 21st, 2021, and one from this month, May 2021. So 2 months back to back, they sent me some letters. You will notice these images are showing different locations in the yard. So in April, they took a picture of the weeds in my yard, and in May, they sent me another letter, this was just like a couple weeks later. So
That's hard to
yeah,
believe.
2 weeks later, they sent me a picture of a different picture of my yard saying that I didn't take care of my yard when it's a completely separate location. So you will notice these images are showing different locations of the yard. This month, I was issued guidance stating that we noticed the weed treatment and lawn care was still not meeting community-wide standards as outlined in your covenants. This is simply not true. Due to the varying locations of the images, there is no factual proof that the stated weeds were not taken care of, when in fact they were managed. They were trimmed and treated with weed killer. Moreover, the weeds that are photographed in the image from May 10th, 2021 are 3 inches tall. I advise you read the Weed Science Growth Analysis of Weed and Crop Species with reference to seed weight.
You gave him a reference.
I gave them a reference by Andrew C. Siebert
I'm
and
a
R.
big reader of
Brent
him.
Pierce and published by Cambridge University Press in 1993. This will provide reasonable evidence to the generalized statement that weeds most definitely do not grow more than 3 inches in 22 days, proving such that I took care of my yard. I hope you can now understand that the two stated issued violations are by no means related to each other, so the use of the phrase still not meeting shall be nullified. Even though I treated my lawn and cared for the lawn 2 days ago, May 8th, 2021, and the weather has since prevented me from reasonably edging the 4 weeds, making minor contact with my driveway, I went out into the rain to clear the weeds today.
Caught pneumonia and died in the hospital.
Exactly. Should Elite Housing Management decide to further their lackluster analysis of my yard, given the aforementioned fact that the two previous violations are by no means in relation to each other, I will be forced to act on, by way of legal action, the eschewed duties that should be provided by Elite Housing Management per the annual assessment stated in Article 6, Section 1.1, per the declaration of Article 6, Section 2, which states the assessments levied by the association shall be used exclusively for the purpose of promoting the recreation, enjoyment, health, safety, and welfare of the residents in the properties, and in the particular for the improvement and maintenance and the operation of the common properties for the services related to the use and anyway, I'm going to skip past all of that. The HOA is to provide adequate care for the common properties, to which I cannot safely enjoy the common properties being defined in Article 1, Section 1E as, and I'm not going to define that. But basically, all this is to say, I'm going to put up a slideshow for you guys to see what the common properties of my HOA are that they're not taking care of.
Could I make one comment first?
Yeah.
That was an excellent letter. It took you hours to do, and you should have put an invoice that said, I billed my time out at $125 an hour. This took 4.75 hours. The HOA owes me $675 bucks. F you very much.
It sounds like harassment almost, what they're doing to you.
So take a look.
Good for you, man.
Take a look at these pictures of the common properties that I pay for in my HOA fees that they do not maintain. And this is directly behind my house. So you can see I've circled it in case.
You've got a shitty HOA.
I've circled it just in case they're blind and don't see the weeds.
They're trying to say that's your property?
And this is directly behind my property. And
Piece of trash.
so this is a couple pieces of trash and some more weeds, okay? And then take a look at this. Look at all these circles. More weeds and more trash. Come on. What's wrong with you?
That's what people see when they come in the neighborhood.
Yeah, look at this. A Coke can or a beer can. And guess what? Some more weeds.
There goes the neighborhood.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, like, who cares if the neighborhood
That's
looks
your yard right there, right?
Yeah, that's
your
my
yard
bad.
looks great. And
That's
then
my
the common
yard.
grounds are just full of weeds.
And look at that. I see some weeds. And oh my gosh.
Oh, no,
weeds.
clover.
Yeah. And guess
Deadly
what?
clover.
And guess what? I pay for them to take care of that, and guess what they don't do? They don't take care of it, and then when my weeds are 3 inches tall, they yell at me and tell me I got to do something about it, but they can't do anything about their weeds. And
sue them.
And do you know what? This goes back about a month ago. They finally mowed the grass, but I swear to you, the grass and the weeds were 5 feet tall before they took care of it. And then when they mowed it, all the seeds got on my yard, and they got planted in my yard, and now I'm pulling crap out. And my yard wasn't perfect to begin with, but it's terrible now.
Well, word for the wise, if you're going to buy a home, make sure you go online and read those covenants and restrictions if they have an HOA, so that way you know what you're getting into. And also request the financial records of your HOA, because a lot of these things are ungoverned. They're just doing whatever with money. The builder, especially a new neighborhood, the builder's been in control. They could have been losing money for years, and then that's what you're buying a property in, and that's going to be your problem now. So definitely take that into consideration before you purchase a home.
I would agree with that 100%.
Bob, I know you got a quote of the day.
Yeah, I do. I love those quotes. And my man, Winston Churchill, he kind of sums it up nice. And Jerry, listen up.
I'm listening.
To improve is to change. To be perfect is to change often. So pull weeds every single day.
Oh, goodness.
That's what the message is.
I will do it.
Thank you, Winston.
Yeah. I think that was fantastic. Discussion.
It's a good discussion.
Yeah, and again, guys, if you enjoyed that, please give us a like and a subscribe for that.
Yeah, and I'd like to challenge anybody. Send in your best HOA horror story.
We want to read it.
We will feature it on one of our podcasts.
And let's post it on the forum. Like, that's a great thing to post on the forum.
That would be perfect.
I'm going to get that thread going right now.
That is great. And show us pictures, because
we've got a thread out there right now.
John,
they can post this under. So there's one for the podcast. So you guys, let's hear your story.
And we can let the members of the forum vote on who has the most horrible story, and maybe we could figure out, we could send them a free T-shirt.
We can do it. We got a
or
shot
something,
now, so.
a gift.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. A prize for the most horrific HOA story of the month.
Yeah.
Also, guys, check out our new shop.
Oh yeah.
It's the freespeechforum.myshopify.com. And we've
Yeah.
got a lot of great gear out there. This is one of the new polos we have.
That's
So
cool
got
looking.
the Free Speech Forum tree logo. So
The-
you
Yeah.
can wear it in the
tree,
office.
the tree of truth.
Yeah, so definitely help us out. Go buy a shirt.
Yep. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with us. We definitely want to see you back.
Good to
for the
have you
next
here.
podcast.
Thank you, Jerry, for that horrific story.
Good night, guys.
Thank
Take
you,
care,
guys.
everybody. Good night.